Hello, friends. John Dalton here, Further Emergence podcast, where we go into consciousness, the mystery, and love. And this week we're going to explore the illusion of existence, the power of silence, life teaching you lessons, letting go, surrender, loving yourself a little, and a question about enlightenment, and another question about the spiritual life. Now, let's have a quick review of the memes on the Further Emergence Instagram feed. First one is an overhead shot of a traffic intersection, and in the center of this, I think it's a crossroads, where there's normally different kind of markings on the street and some kind of writing, but in this case it has, in big letters, written on the street, "Remember you are dreaming." And I really like this one. I didn't make this or anything, I just came across it. There's something about the way it's all put together that it is that kind of shocking. It would be like getting an anonymous text from somebody saying, "Remember you're dreaming," or an email or something like that. It's like a little reminder, but it's big. It's like a billboard that would say, "Remember you're dreaming." And it's just a little reminder of, this isn't real. This is an illusion that we're in. We're all in an illusion, and it's not even like we're all sharing the illusion. We're all in our own separate little illusions. That's pretty shocking to kind of come across it, and it kind of ruins the movie of life a little bit. It's like standing up in a cinema going, "It's all shadows on the wall." Nobody wants to hear that. Like, yeah, we know. Sit down. Except, do we know? I don't know. Maybe on some level we do, but mostly we want to be here and enjoying the movie and be fully immersed in it. And that's important, to just fully embrace it. But it's good to kind of every now and then be reminded, because we take it very seriously. We take the illusion super seriously, and we relate to the illusion as if it's real. And that's part of it, but it's part of being in it. But it's good to, as you become more conscious, to kind of go, this isn't real. Because it's important to sort of see that it's not real, so that you begin to look for what is real, which is all behind the illusion. So yeah, it's a great one. Love it. I did write the next one. It's a sort of a poem. It sort of reads like a poem. It says, "Make a friend of silence. Stalk it if you can. Let it melt the pity chatter. Let it soak up your despair. Make a friend of silence. Keep it throbbing in your heart. Let it breathe the private wounds and sanctify your air." And I think I wrote that in one go, and then I sort of sat back and went, wow, okay. Where'd that come from? But I like it. There's so much in silence, and it can heal so many things inside, and it can sanctify your air, and silence is very private. It really is. And it can be extremely loud. If you happen to be out in nature, if you happen to be away from a city, if you happen to be away from other people, the profound silence gets louder and louder, because it's kind of echoing the silence that's inside you, and they can begin to sort of resonate with each other. So yeah, big fan of silence, and I encourage you to go into it. And even if you are in a city or you're surrounded by lots of people, the inner silence is there. When you turn off the pictures and you turn off the sound, when you turn off the thoughts, you could say thoughts are just pictures and sound, really. So if you turn off the pictures and you turn off the sound, that's it. Your thoughts, you're not thinking, and it's just momentary. Like the idea with meditation is that it's people. The misconception about meditation is that it should be this continuous not thinking, which isn't my experience at all. But there is huge power in that moment of just stopping thinking, just that instant of stopping thinking, because our mind likes to string instants together, moments together. Like I saw a really funny meme the other day of this picture of a woman like looking concerned. It was like it was like a headline. It said, "Woman who tried to live in the moment was disturbed to discover that there were other moments." Which is kind of the way it is. The idea of living in the moment is beautiful, but then you kind of realize it's like your mind pulls in all these other moments and tries to string them together in this linear thing. So yeah, make a friend of silence. Highly recommend that. Hey, I wrote the next one as well. And it says, for as long as you think life is teaching you lessons, you'll be stuck in school, in inverted commas. And somebody left a comment under this saying, there's a lot to think about with this one. Is it bad to feel like you're always learning? And of course it's not. It's fine to think you're always learning. It's not even to think you're learning, because you kind of can observe that you're continually learning. But that's different to what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about in this is this idea of this kind of justification of suffering. It's very subtle, but it is a justification of suffering, and it's a making yourself less than life, rather than, like you compare that to the beautiful wisdom in Rumi's quote of, "You're not a drop in the ocean; you're the ocean contained in a drop." Okay, it's like this is the polar opposite. This idea of, life, taught me some lessons. It's like this. This illusion of no pain, no gain, it's in there with that, it's like suffering. You have to suffer. If you don't suffer, it's not worth getting. Anything that's worth getting, you have to suffer for, is painful for. None of which is true. Pain leads up to growth, but the growth doesn't happen because of the pain. What happens because of the pain is a collapse. You have so much pain, you have so much pressure that you break and you give up. And then in the gap after the collapse is where the growth happens. So if you can see that, then you can just focus on the gap, which is still. It's incredibly still and emptied. So you can focus on that and be kind, because if you look inside, you don't want people to suffer, okay? So if you recognize that you have the divinity within you, you can also recognize that that's speaking. So the divinity or God or whatever you want to call it doesn't want you to suffer. It's just your natural state to grow. And growth just happens all the time. You're more conscious today than you were yesterday. You're more conscious this week than you were last week, this year than you were last year. It's just naturally the way it goes. It's just the way it happens. It's not like, there's some external force, well, I'm going to teach you a lesson, because you're really dumb. That's not happening. That's indoctrination. If you feel like that, you've been indoctrinated. And it's very subtle indoctrination that goes on, but it's not true. Life's not trying to teach you lessons. There's no old man God sitting on a cloud up in heaven judging you. No one's judging you except yourself, if you are, and I hope you're not. Next one it's a lovely little, it's like very few words, doesn't seem like much. Whatever comes, let it come. Whatever stays, let it stay. Whatever goes, let it go. It's beautiful. It's very Taoist, as I receive it. And if you live your life by it, it's terrifying. Because when you really get into it, whatever comes, let it come. If you were able to do that, surrender to that. Whatever comes, let it come. Man. And then whatever stays, let it stay. If you were able to do that, just that, whatever stays, let it stay. That's not easy to do. And then whatever goes, let it go. That's not easy to do. And yet, it happens. This is life condensed into a meme, because what happens in life is things come, things stay, things go. That's just what happens. And now, how you relate to that has a lot to do with how your inner state is going to be. Because if you embrace that, and somebody was talking about Stoics last week. This is a very Stoic approach, actually, is that whatever comes, let it come. Whatever stays, let it stay. Whatever goes, let it go. It's like, well, what does that mean? It means you've no agency in your life and you're just like a leaf being blown around in the wind. And what about making your life? And, what does that mean? You just sit on the couch and let it all happen? No, don't mean that at all. I don't mean that at all. Because it's like living your life completely surrendered to what comes, what stays, and what goes. But also expressing your preferences. Okay? It's my preference that this thing doesn't come. It's a paradox, which is kind of, paradoxes are at the center of everything in the spiritual life, as far as I can see anyway. It's like expressing your preference and going, this is what I would like to come, but I'm surrendered to whatever comes. This is what I'd like to stay, but I'm surrendered to whatever stays. And this is what I'd like not to go, but I'm surrendered to whatever goes. So it's like living in these two things at the same time, but fundamentally kind of going, I'm surrendered, because it's that thing of, again, ties back into that Rumi thing of like, you're not a drop in the ocean, you're the whole ocean contained in a drop. You've got like a little part of the divine inside you, and you can recognize that in yourself and others. And it's like acknowledging that, but also acknowledging that it's just a little bit of it, that you don't know what the bigger picture is, and surrendering to that. Ultimately surrendering to that, going, this is my preference, this is what I'd like to come, stay, or go. But if it doesn't go the way I want, surrendering to what is. And truly surrendering, not just surrendering, when it sounds good or in a meme, but truly, deeply surrendering and kind of going, well, this isn't what my preference was, but I surrender to it. Not easy to do, but very powerful to do if you can do it. And of course, it varies. You'll be with it one day and not the next, and then you'll be back to it again. That's my experience anyway. I didn't write this one, but I think it's pretty good. And it's kind of on the same theme, unintentionally. I didn't, it's not like I go, let me just organize these memes into a theme. No, I don't do that. So this one is, it's like someone wrote this in a notebook. It says, you are afraid of surrender because you don't want to lose control, but you never had control. All you had was anxiety. And that's true in my experience. And it's kind of like, it's to do with the letting things go, I suppose, or resisting things coming and staying. This idea of control, and being unwilling to surrender. I mean, it's hilarious to really resist surrender. There's another good phrase that I always think of in relation to resisting surrender, and that's let go or be dragged. I think that's a really it's a really good mental image. It's like you really don't have any choice about surrender. It's more a case of you can get with the flow, or you can just get bashed by the waves. The waves are going to crash one way or the other, and it's more to do with how you move through your life. You can move through resisting, fighting the waves, shouting at the ocean, or you can be graceful and maybe do a little bit of surfing. And this thing about them saying that you never had control, all you had was anxiety. It's true. Like, you can worry about things, because our minds are great at planning for the worst. They're kind of designed to do that, to look for threats on the horizon, real or imagined, and make plans to how to deal with them. But the thing is that, you never can really plan for the things, because when you think about all the really bad things that ever happened to you, they probably just happened out of nowhere. Certainly in my case, my mind couldn't plan for those. But the things my mind worries about or wants to worry about, it sort of imagines, well, what's going to happen with this? What am I going to do about that? What do I do about that other thing? Most of those things never happen. So yeah, you're afraid to surrender because you don't want to lose control, but you never had control. All you had was anxiety. And then last one, slightly lighter note. I managed to get this one in on Saturday. It says, Saturday morning comes with pillows and silence. Time to stretch the morning toes and relish the nowhere to be. You did a lot this week, more than you can know. Love yourself a little and have a second sleep. And the thing that stands out for me there on that one, I did write this one, is that you've done more than you know. I always remember when Kirk and Scotty are my little dog friends, and when they were puppies, I remember bringing them to, where did I bring them to? I think it was the supermarket first. And I didn't even go into the supermarket with them, just to the car park. And let them out. They had a little sniff around, did a pee here and a little sniff, that sort of things dogs do. Then they got back in the car and they were like completely exhausted, And I realized that stimulation is as exhausting as a long walk for a dog. A lot of stimulation. And we're kind of the same, We go through the week and we sort of, we're sort of putting fires out, dodging bullets, jumping over obstacles, navigating all this difficult stuff, and because we have to do it all day, every day, we don't even realize how tiring that is, how exhausting that is, just dealing with stuff. Even if you live alone in the countryside, just dealing with your own inner workings, it's exhausting, So it's nice to kind of acknowledge that and go, I think I'll just have a little extra sleep if you can. It's a beautiful thing to do. Farm news. Well, last week, after I'd finished recording the podcast, the farmers came who, if you've been listening for a while, you'll know that out of nowhere, a lot more sheep just appeared. And there's these other farmers came with their a lot more sheep, and, then the lambing happened and whatever. Anyway, they came and took the sheep last week. So there's the original sheep are left, which is, the 70% less sheep. And it's amazing. It's almost like I could feel or hear the grass sighing in relief, because sheep are like lawnmowers. They really are. They just eat everything, And they keep the grass very, very close to the ground. So the ground, I think, is like breathing a sigh of relief to have a lot less sheep around, nibbling on them. So that'll be nice, because the sun's been out, the rain has been, so the grass is going to pop. Everything's going to pop. Everything's going to get a chance to come up now, which is good for the bees and all the other insect life and wildlife. And then digging. Been digging, reducing my little mounds. As I said, they're huge mounds. It's going to take forever, but it's not so much that. It's very enjoyable to go and do a little bit of digging whenever I can and bring these mounds down a little bit more. Hey, did you know these podcasts are on YouTube if you're just listening? Yes, you can go and watch them on YouTube, and you can see the nature that I am around when I go outside to answer questions. You can see the wonderful nature that I live in. I also have a blog. Did you know that? I write. Yes, I write. I write things in my blog, which is a very 90s thing to do, I think. But it's amazing we haven't come up with something different to blogs, isn't it? But yeah, I do write, and then I send out friendly notes. Somebody was asking me, how do I get the friendly notes? Unfortunately, I haven't got figured out how to do both at the moment. So if you go to my website, furtheremergence.com, and you just sort of poodle about on it for a little while, something will pop up. It should pop up asking you to, if you want to get the friendly notes every Sunday. Worst comes to worst, send me an email, john@furtheremergence.com, and I will add you to the list. And also you can email me on that address, john@furtheremergence.com. Just tell me how it's going. People send me lovely emails every week telling me how it's going. Or if you want to get my perspective on something, or if you have a very specific question and you'd like to hear what I have to say about it, then fire away on that one. This week's life hack. This is my new section. These are just little things I do that I've sort of curated over the years. So this week's one is about oil pulling. Do you know about oil pulling? Don't know where I heard about this. I've been doing it for years. And it's part of my nighttime routine. So I will brush my teeth. It's to do with teeth. I will brush my teeth. And then I have a jar of coconut oil in the bathroom with me. And I will take a spoonful of that and I will pop it in my mouth. Now, some people actually brush their teeth with the coconut oil. I haven't done that. Somebody told me about that recently, but I haven't remembered to do it, so I can't report on it. But anyway, so I brush my teeth, teaspoonful of coconut oil, and then I will swish that around in my mouth for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm sort of swishing it around, and I'm thinking about it going between my teeth and all through my gums, and I'll do that. Now, it's important not to swallow it when you're finished after your 5 to 10 minutes of swishing around. Like, it's not, well, I'm saying swishing around because it's not a case of you just leave it in your mouth and, do nothing. You actually force it between your teeth and everywhere. Try and get it all parts of your mouth, and then you spit it out. And then I'm very careful not to, I leave that kind of film of coconut oil in my mouth overnight. And when you do the swishing around and you spit it out, apparently it pulls a lot of bacteria out from your teeth and your gums. So you're spitting that out. And then you're leaving the film on your teeth and mouth and tongue. Helps. It kind of acts as a antibacterial in your mouth. So it's not like I haven't noticed any my teeth started to regenerate or anything like that. But if you've got problems with your teeth, it certainly helps them. I know of one person who does it, and they had a very sensitive tooth. Through some dental work, the back of the tooth had been filed off in the way that dentists like to do, break the enamel. And it was always very irritating and sensitive, and they got on the oil pulling, and it's fine now. So yes, oil pulling, highly recommend it. Hey, did you know I have a meditation training? Yes, it's a 4-week training that helps you to become more conscious. So the focus of the training is on consciousness, growth in consciousness first, and then meditation is a way to support that. And, consciousness is a vague kind of subject. It can be hard to quantify, let alone, actively increase. But over the 4-week training, it takes you through simple steps to increase your consciousness and gives you tools to sustain that growth. So if you're struggling to become more conscious, then this is the training you need. So if you go to furtheremergence.com and click on trainings, there's a few different trainings starting to gather there. There's a new training I'll be doing on the Wednesday the 31st, and it's a progression from the the meditation training is like a basic beginning. And then the next one is this one, which is all about dealing with the psychic world. So we'll be going into angels, demons, ascended masters, elementals, hoppers, spirit guides, psychic entities, channeling, possession, and everything else. We'll be going into how it works, how to deal with it all, and how not to get distracted by any of it. So yeah, you'll see a link for that as well. That starts on Wednesday the 31st. Meaning the live session will be on Wednesday the 31st, and then there'll be a recording after that. So yeah, go to furtheremergence.com, click on trainings, and you'll see both of them. Now, I had a question on the Further Emergence Discord. It said, "Hi John, why do you think one should get clear of the idea of what it means to get enlightened? So I can have my mind on board? Because it could end up being different anyways, no? Or by having a clear idea, you mean having a sense of it?" So this started quite a bit of discussion on the Discord, where different people were talking about different enlightened people and what their sense of how it all worked was. So here's my perspective. Well, there's a couple of things in that. The main thing is it's not to get your mind involved in the way that you're talking about. It's to get you to sort of face what's going on both ways. Meaning to kind of go, yeah, you know, this enlightenment thing, I'm not that interested in it. To actively say that, and to not sort of slip off it and kind of go, well, let's not get hung up on terms, and it's not about labels, and you know, that's all mind stuff. Because the idea of enlightenment, if it resonates with you, it resonates with you on a very deep level, below your mind for sure. And then your mind comes in on top of it and starts to sort of has judgments about it, you know, and starts to sort of has things to say about it, and has opinions about it, and can talk about it. And it just gets in the way. So to get around that, I encourage you to make yourself be clear on it. To make your mind admit it, or to acknowledge that, to acknowledge what's going on for you. And that's what I mean about getting clear about it. So to take it away from being this vague kind of thing that, you know, all-encompassing terms, because, you know, you can read about enlightenment, and you can, you know, it's a big tent and there's a lot in it. And does it all matter to you? You know? Do you want to be able to do tricks? You know, is that important to you? Is that what enlightenment means for you? To be able to do tricks, to be able to levitate, for example, or to be happy all the time, or to be blissful, or to be wise, to be admired, you know? When you think about when you first heard about enlightenment, and then as you go on, you'll have heard more and more and more about it, and this enlightened person was able to do this thing, and that other enlightened person was able to do this other thing. And if you keep it vague, if you keep like, yeah, well, that's all enlightenment, then you avoid getting down to the nitty gritty of what's going on for you, what is speaking to your heart, or what is speaking to the very deep part of you. Get into that. Eliminate all the stuff that doesn't really, it'd be nice, it's kind of cool, it'd be cool to levitate, it'd be cool to be wise and all that. But like, does that really matter to you? If it does, go and find someone who can do it. But if it doesn't, then get really clear about what it means to you. What am I being drawn to here? What is this bell that's ringing inside me to do with enlightenment? What am I being drawn to? Get very clear about that. Get rid of everything that you don't care about. Yeah, it'd be nice to levitate, but I don't care about it. Yeah, it'd be nice to be wise, but I don't care about it. Get right down to what it means to you. Bring your mind to it. Face it. And equally face, like if you're kind of like, oh, it's labels and I don't, not really that into it or whatever. Like face that too. Look in the mirror and go, I don't want to get enlightened. Actually, say that to yourself and see how that feels. No, I'm not interested in getting enlightened. Don't slip off the side of it. Face it. And then see how that feels. No, I'm not interested in getting enlightened. It's just not a thing for me. Because that'll free up a lot of space on the inside. You'll be like, yeah, it's a thing for other people, but not for me. And then similarly, if it's like, no, I want to get enlightened. Definitely want to get enlightened. Like, well, what does that mean to you? What does it actually mean? Get rid of everything that's nothing to do with it. And focus on that. And then, when you get nice and clear on what it means to you, then find someone who's that. Find someone who's the living embodiment of it. Don't go sideways and go, oh, I'll go with someone who's not around anymore. Someone I can't be around. Someone who was, yeah, this person ticks all my boxes, but they've passed away. They're not in their body anymore, whatever way you want to describe it. Get someone who's doing it now, who's alive now. Because what you really want is to feel the living embodiment of the enlightenment that you're looking for. Find someone who's that. And then get as close to them as you can. And why I say that is you want to remove as much of the possibility of putting them on a pedestal or separating them from yourself in some way or another. You want to get rid of that so that it's like you can kind of see the human embodiment, not the idealized embodiment, the human embodiment of what it is that you want. And initially you'll be like, oh, they got a bit annoyed there, or I'm not so sure about that, or whatever. And your mind can kind of wrap itself around that and go, I don't know about this. And then you'll start to go, no, there's something there. There's something there. The thing that drew me to this person initially, it's still there. And it's not what I thought it was, but it's stronger. And then over time, the more time you spend around them, eventually the penny will drop and you'll go, you know what? There's no difference. What they have, I have. So, it's not to get your mind involved. It's to get your mind to accept the fact that this is important to you. Or not. It's not important to you. But get it to face that as well. Don't let it slip off the side. Don't let it get intellectual about it. Don't let your mind claim it, because it's not of your mind. Your mind's not interested in enlightenment. The deeper parts of you are. So that's my perspective. And in response to the question I post on Instagram, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your spiritual life at the moment? Somebody replied, the feeling that spirituality gets in the way itself. Whenever I just live my life to the fullest, everything seems to go better. Yet I still seek spirituality. It's a bit of a paradox. I seem to get stuck when I'm in a spiritual phase of my life. My spirituality recently has been more forgetting what I know about and just living my life. I practice gratitude and I meditate daily, but when I read books or listen to spiritual teachers, it just sends me for a loop. Yet I think there's a lot to be learned within it. Maybe I just need to take my time with it. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. All right, well, here are my thoughts.
The paradox of the spiritual life. Well, it's just the limitations of words, isn't it? I hate using words like spirituality, God, all the really loaded words, that love. I mean, God, talk of like such an abused, overused, misused word. Love, spirituality. So I can see why you can get a bit overwhelmed with it. I do as well. But the thing is, listening to the sort of spaces between the words of what you're saying is a kind of a it's what we all want, which is a kind of continuity or certainty. But it's not there. It doesn't exist, and it definitely doesn't exist in the spiritual life. Spiritual life, as far as I experience it, it's a process of getting lost and getting found and getting lost again and getting found again and getting lost again and getting found again. It's like the water coming in when the tide's coming in. Waves come in, go out, water comes in, comes out. Over time, though, the tide is in. And it's like that. You'll go through a phase of deep interest in spiritual stuff and spiritual teachers or spiritual friends like me who are just, talking about their experience. Or you'll read about gurus, or you'll read about, great mystical stories. And you'll fill up and fill up and fill up with this stuff. And then eventually you'll be like, oh my God, I can't take any more of this stuff. I'm sick of this spiritual stuff. Just give me the ordinary. Give me the down to earth. Give me Pat the baker or Bill the plumber or Mary the chartered surveyor or any of these wonderful, simple people. I don't want any of this intellectual, spiritual stuff. That's fine too. And then you'll do that for a while, and then you'll be like, I just want something a bit deeper. I want something a bit deeper than all this superficial plumbing talk and baking talk and chartered surveying talk. I want something deeper, don't they know? And then you'll start reading that stuff again, the spiritual stuff again. And all that is fine. The main thing is to be gentle with yourself and just let yourself, don't get in the way of your, this ebb and flow, this getting lost and getting found. Just let that happen. And be easy with it, as easy as you can with it. That means, some days you'll be confused. Some days you'll be super clear. Some hours you'll be clear. Some hours you'll be confused. And to be okay with it all. And to kind of go, yeah, it's all fine. It's like, I often think of it as like listening in on a tree, Not a big tree, not a big oak tree, but a little tree, like a little sapling. If you could put the little stethoscope onto the side of the little sapling and listen into what it's saying, do you think it's in there going, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I not a big tree? Why I'm so floppy? I'm so weak. I get blown around so much. I mean, if you heard that, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? What's wrong with you? You're just at that stage. You're just a sapling. Why don't you just enjoy being a sapling? You're going to become a huge tree. It'll happen. You don't have to do anything. It's just going to happen. It's the same with us. We are a sapling, a seed, and a big tree all at the same time. And it's all going to happen. It all has happened. And it's all fine. So just be as easy as you can with that. Be gentle with it. Be gentle with yourself. Know that everything's happening the way it's supposed to. And really, you don't have to do a lot. But our mind, part of our mind's thing is it sort of feels like it has to get involved and have ideas and opinions and talk about it all. And that's part of it too. But if you can be the witnesser of that and be gentle with yourself in it, it goes a lot easier. It's more enjoyable.
All right, that's all I have for you this time. I trust you're well. I trust you're of good cheer. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.